early voting continues in Chautauqua County as Election Day nears, and those vying for political office are continuing to push to win over voters, including the Democratic candidate for Chautauqua County Executive, Norm Green, who joins us live in studio today. Mr. Green, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
First off, I want to ask how things are going at Green Election Headquarters. Have you been able to get out and talk to voters? And if so, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I actually have been talking to quite a few voters. It's interesting, the feedback. People know my name. People know my issues. I go up to the door and they say, Norm, you've already got my vote. You don't need to talk anymore. And it's surprising to me, the great reception.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of time for people, I think, to get to know the candidates over the last few weeks, including our debate last week where your opponent, PJ Wendell, asked you about your plan to cut back on government in the county, specifically with the village of Panama. What are your ideas there, and why is that something important to you?
Well, it goes back to the 1970s. I was on a dissolution committee in the village of Fredonia. I actually had circulated a petition there that started the ball rolling. When I was in the Ellicott Town Council for 2 terms for 4 years, we talked about consolidating government during that period of time. It's something that's, and then as an election commissioner, we brought on all the villages, but Sinclairville, to the Board of Elections umbrella to assist with voting. That's something that doesn't happen, hasn't happened elsewhere. Cattaraugus County, pretty much, I think it's just a couple other villages have come on board the village under the Board of Elections. So that's who I am. And the Panama discussion came up along the way. Panama is a village of less than 500 people. They get a sales tax share from the county, and my point was the sales tax share doesn't go for the operation of government. It goes for garbage service for the village residents. The sheriff's tax sale, if we took it away from the village of Panama and gave it to the town of Harmony, it still would benefit the residents of the village of Panama who depend on the town of Harmony for their street maintenance and all services.
Yeah, so there wouldn't be a loss of service necessarily.
Wouldn't be a loss of revenue for the taxpayers in that area. They would actually just see it coming from a different area.
This week, the county legislature passed Wendell's 2022 budget, something you would have to work with if elected, and allocated some of the American Rescue Plan funding as well. From your perspective, what do you think of the budget, and is there anything that you would have done differently?
Well, there's 2 big issues that have come up in the campaign. It's the hiring of 42 new workers. There's been 100 workers, nearly 100 workers been hired over the last 5 years, of which PJ Wendell has been involved. He's a government expander. You sit there, and if you took off Democratic and Republican, you'd wonder who the Republican was. I'm concerned about the future, and the future is how do we pay for these jobs? Currently, the jobs are being paid for through partially, not all of them, some of them through grants. It's Terry Nebel, a conservative Republican, asked that same question that I've been asking all along. How are we going to pay for this? Is this sustainable? And the answer is no, it's not. It's dangerous what we're doing and adding these jobs, and disappointing in the future to people that might lose their jobs.
And also during that meeting, I know the group of lawmakers passed 2 resolutions on COVID. One of them was seeking alternatives to the COVID vaccine mandated request to the state. We asked you about this last week during the debate, where you stood up saying that the county needs to embrace the vaccine. Do you feel that this motion could send the wrong message?
Well, it definitely sends the wrong message. Our county executive consistently has told people, hey, it's okay. It's okay that you don't get vaccinated. It's a personal choice, which isn't the case. The message the other day was certainly something that bothered me. Cattaraugus County became the first county in the state that passed this kind of resolution. Chautauqua County joining us. What it's done is it's put up a border. It's made us give us negative press across the state. It's said, hey, we're not a county that's open for business. And you know, again, the Republican is just going in the wrong direction. This is the first pandemic that we've had since 1920. Let's make that perfectly clear. And so there are certainly things that need to happen in the United States of America. We are sliding behind other countries. Other countries, are concerned about what we're doing and about travelers from our country going to their country. So, in Chautauqua County, we need to do what we need to do, and that's we need to encourage. We need to have the leadership. The leadership needs to lead. That's been something that's been a problem for PJ Wendell, and leadership needs to say, "Hey, everybody, you need to get vaccinated. There's really not a choice here unless you have a medical situation that prohibits vaccination."
And I know the big call has been because they want their freedoms. They want that freedom to choice. What do you say to those who have that argument, who simply just want the decision to not get the vaccine?
Yeah, well, the United States Constitution is pretty clear. The preamble is where you need to read, and we have not only rights, but we have responsibilities. And we need to, and our responsibility is to keep our country safe. And our responsibility, I looked at this, I'm a United States Army Vietnam era veteran. There's only one other veteran that's in the legislature, and that's Bob Bankowski. That really, if you read the preamble, if you read the Constitution, had an obligation for everybody to go into service. I'm not saying everybody needed to go into service, but you can't pick and choose your obligations. I've lived my life with obligations. My obligation was to go in the United States Army. My obligation was to protect the rest of my citizenry in Chautauqua County, and that was to get the jab.
All right, Democratic candidate for Chautauqua County Executive Norm Green joining us in studio today. Sir, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate having you on.
It's my pleasure. Please get out and vote this weekend, early voting noon to 5.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, Election Day next Tuesday, polls open at 6 a.m., so important to note.